Jimmy Turner.
How you doing, sir?
I'm great, man. Welcome to the Sauce of Life, brother.
Happy to be here.
Introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are.
Well, my name is Jimmy Turner from Grenada, Mississippi. I don't know what to say. I'm just a regular guy, just trying to, find my way in life and be all I could be.
Okay. Using Army model there, the old school Army model.
Yeah.
Be all you can be.
Yes, sir.
That's the one that caught me when I was getting ready to go into the military. Mm-hmm. But you have a military background also.
A little bit. I graduated from a military school down in Mississippi. Entire family was in the military, so I grew up with that military mindset. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
True story.
Yes, sir.
How'd you get in the military, Jimmy? You didn't go into the military. You were in the military academy.
Yes.
All right. So give us a little bit about your background. I know this is your first time being in front of the camera and you're not necessarily that comfortable, but hopefully if I do my job right, you'll get over that.
Yes, sir.
Because a part of your life dream, here with this thing of the sauce of life, it's literally about taking people's life experiences and turn those into ingredients that can help other people. You feed other people by the things that you've done. Okay. An example of that, as you know, because you manage my warehouse, but an example of that is the apple cinnamon waffle mix that I created for my wife that was undergoing cancer and chemotherapy and needed some sustenance. But right. You are a man who, when you and I initially met, in fact, I'll let you explain how we met.
How we met? I'm living in, I currently reside in Anchorage, Alaska. Okay. And I was having problems holding down your traditional jobs, like in corporate America, things like that. And so just one day I was vacuuming my car on Muldoon Road, and over a 6 month period, I kept seeing this guy over at this waffle spot, and he always had just truckloads of waffles. Truckloads of chicken. Like he had just got chicken from a store like Costco or something. And then over about the third time I saw him, I said, man, I'm gonna go over here and see if he owned that place, because he sort of looked like the owner, because he's walking in all the buildings, because he has the warehouse connected to the restaurant. And I seen him like just pointing, telling people, go here, go there. They're going, I said, that might be the boss, bro. So about the last time that I got my car washed, like that sixth time, I said, man, I'm finna go over here. So I walked in, I told him, hey, I'm a 2-time felon. I've been having problems trying to hold down a job in like your regular corporate America, like the jobs that I had. I worked for the state for a mental hospital, and it was just me not wanting to. I was not social. When I got out of prison, I was a little behind in a social category. So working in a place like that, I have to be more vocal, and I always sat back and I watched things happen in the hospital that I was supposed to have been vocal about. And I got myself into trouble by not saying anything. So I just felt like it wasn't the right fit for me. So I asked you first before I put my 2 weeks notice in, and I let you know that I needed to try something new. And if I could, I would really like to work for somebody who looked like me, because sometimes I found myself in awkward situations. I was privy to a lot of bad jokes that weren't the best of jokes, and they might have thought they were funny, but they weren't funny to me. So yeah, that's how we met. I was at a car wash, washing my car, and I thought you were the boss, so I came to talk to you.
You just said a lot in there that we're going to unpack some things. Let's start. 2-time felon.
Yes. No more, though.
Explain that. How did you get into the situations that you got into that earned you that title?
Well, I'm from a small town, and it's either you work in a factory or you work for somebody else, or, you sell drugs and you're some type of gang, either, Rolling 60s, Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, things like that. So in the neighborhood I'm from West Ward and from Pearl Street. So that's Gangster Disciple territory. So my first felony was intent to distribute, and my second felony was firearm in a furtherance of a crime.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And you did how long with those?
A total of 10 years, 8 months of my life in a jail cell. Also been through like a trial with the whole thing. I've been through the whole trial, but fortunately, the jury saw fit that I was not guilty.
Okay. You made a statement to me one day about redemption, paying the price. You mentioned how you go to jail or you go to prison and you're supposed to have paid your price to society, but that title that you now have follows you forever, and you never actually get to escape that title or that label of being a felon.
Yeah, I mean, you pay your debt to society and you do the amount of time that you do, but once you get out, I mean, you have so many restrictions. You can't vote, you can't own a firearm anymore. Another thing is people find out you are a felon and they treat you a certain way. I mean, certain felonies keep you from getting a passport. It's just, you go to jail, you pay your debt to society, but you get out and you're free, but you're still paying that debt every hour, every week, every month, every year. So it's just hard to get back into, you know, being a productive citizen if I don't have any rights or I don't feel free. If it's one thing to be walking around free, but you have to be able to like enjoy the liberties of everyone else to be truly free. And sometimes as a felon, we're not afforded that, and it's unfortunate.
What are some of those liberties, man? You've mentioned not being able to vote, not being able to carry a firearm, but I've noticed I've seen the growth in you as a person, right? Over the years, I've seen the growth in you as a man, and I've seen the growth in you, but I also met you when you were still pretty rough around the edges. Let's keep it that way. And still sometimes I can see or sense that you may have trouble fitting in or blending in or feeling like you fit in certain rooms.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Just being like, when you get out of prison, and I had a violent crime, so a lot of my time was spent in solitary confinement. And in solitary confinement, you're not around anybody. You get 24 hours. You get 23 hours in the lockdown. You get 30 minutes for a shower. You get 30 minutes for rape. So, you know, doing that amount of time and then getting out and then being thrust into society where everything's moving and shaking. I mean, I got out. I didn't even know how to use that car wash that I was talking about. You have all these prompts. It's talking to you. When I went in, I mean, I'm used to car washes where somebody was there. Now you get out, you got to use your credit card for everything. And I was lost, like computers, like, man, I had to take classes just to become computer savvy again. So that's what happened. Like once you get out, I just was not social. Like I felt uncomfortable in large crowds. Then, you know, certain things that people would talk about, I really wasn't interested in growing up. I didn't play a lot of video games. I didn't, you know anything about taxes and a tax bracket and, you know, mortgages. I literally remember when I didn't know what a mortgage was. I just had to, first of all, somebody told me that I needed to work on those areas. And then once I became aware of my shortcomings, I could pay attention and focus on just trying to get better.
Okay. All right. Man, it's been an interesting journey watching you morph and continue to become the man that you desire to be. And I've seen you carrying notebooks and writing. And I remember one day you coming into the restaurant frustrated and you just plowed down all these papers in front of you, man, just interrupted my lunch. But
I'm sorry.
Don't be, because one of the things that you have done, you have become a catalyst for change in my life, because you've helped me to look in the mirror on a daily basis and understand if I'm one of those people that's also looking at you in a different way, or if I'm allowing certain perceptions or beliefs that I have shape the way that I'm interacting with people. And if I'm a man that has a show called The Sauce of Life, that's all about taking people's life's experiences and seeing how they use those to help other people, then I have to be cognizant of the way that I carry myself, because I don't want you to shut up or shut down or feel alienated and not being able to express when it comes to me. There's that level of trust that has to be there. Right. So I appreciate you sharing with me with that. What the audience doesn't know, but they will know once we get you published, is that you are literally one of the best writers that I know. You are a highly intellectual dude and a deeply introspective dude that is capable of having very deep conversations about topics that if somebody knew your background off jump, they wouldn't necessarily give you the ability to have that conversation. I've seen, and I'll go back to letting you talk because this is about your story and letting you share. But something that happened here in California. In fact, I'll let you tell what happened the other day when we went to the yoga retreat.
So we're out in Malibu, swanky place, fancy, across the street from Nobu and things like that. So we're in where the rich people are. And so we got through with the yoga retreat, breathing exercises, and I needed that, by the way. Once I started telling my story, and a few of the members became like noticeably scared. And it was just the most generic version of the story that I could give. So it wasn't anything about nothing I had really done. It was just like, oh, I'm a 2-time felon and I'm the warehouse manager at Waffles and whatnot. But instantly, one of the ladies goes into this tirade about somebody got her phone. My phone is missing. Where's my phone? Where's my phone? And we all know who she was implying it towards. It didn't feel comfortable. It didn't feel good. And I don't steal, by the way. And less than 5 minutes later, we changed the table we were sitting at to go to another table. And she did it again, bro. And bro, it's so uncomfortable to have somebody think that you would take their phone. I mean, that's not good. But she ended up misplacing the phone. And really didn't say sorry or anything, but it's okay.
I don't think she is sorry, bro. But there's a mentality that exists. So being there and having seen that, first of all, I wasn't aware that had happened until you pointed it out to me. And to see that she literally handed her phone to one of her girlfriends. Mm-hmm. That's where the phone was, but where she left it. But the moment that you said you were a felon, you told your story as I was talking to this director about being able to record and capture your story in alignment with this program that I'm doing with a potential partnership with the Department of Corrections. The moment she heard your story, it was, my phone's missing. And it was the most pearl clutching moment. And yeah, it truly reminded me, man, as we started talking of how Tulsa, Oklahoma happened with the incident in the elevator. Oh yeah. And the destruction of Black Wall Street. Don't forget Emmett Till. And Emmett Till. Yeah, he will sit there. And in Rosewood, Florida. Yes. Rosewood. It's rough. These type incidents that we think are history are not, because people are still walking around with these perceptions and you instantly trigger stuff inside of them. What does that do for you, man? And it doesn't feel good. I'm going to say it one more time. It does not feel good to, once again, I have paid my debt to society. I've done everything I possibly can to rehabilitate myself. I have not been a part of the recidivism rate. I have not committed another felony. I don't even have a new misdemeanor. Like, I'm a law-abiding citizen, and it's been over 8+ years. So, I mean, that's what I'm talking about earlier. In the earlier part of the segment, we get out, we pay our debt to society, and we keep on paying. That's a part of it. It does not feel good at all. Like, that's all I can say. We were having a discussion about sin, and not in a religious sense, but in the fact that sin is just a violation of the rules. Sin is a violation of the rules of the law. So in a religious sense, a sin is a violation of a law that God set, right? Yeah. Whatever that thing may be. I find it ironic in this Judeo-Christian country, how so many people want redemption
for themselves
or
a family member or someone they love. But everybody else, throw them to the wolves.
Right.
Burn them.
Burn them. So as you know, in conversations with the Department of Corrections,
yes, sir,
to use Waffles and Whatnot, which is this franchise that I started, ironically started because I am the father of, the son of a man who has spent basically my entire life in jail. My dad went to prison when I was about 5 years old. Strong arm robbery. And he got out and went back. He's gone back a few times. And now he's in there serving life imprisonment, this time for robbing an IHOP. But I looked at it and realized it's not because he's a violent man or because he's a thief. It's because he, after serving more than 22 years, entered a society or re-entered a society where everything was unfamiliar to him. Yeah. When he went in back in 91, there was no such thing as WhatsApp. There was no Facebook. There was no Twitter, X. Cell phones were not. We were still using beepers back then.
Wow.
I don't know if you even know.
Yeah.
A lot of the
I didn't have one on, but I had one. I was young. I was a little kid, but yeah, I had a beeper. It wasn't on though.
What I hear you say, and what I heard you say just now, is that you grew up in a place where you didn't know what a mortgage was.
Yeah, man.
So you went to prison without knowing what a mortgage was. And I think about my dad, and I'll tell you why I really wanted to get you on camera. Part of the reason why I really wanted to get you on camera is because this whole thing about the sauce of life is using your life experiences and essentially turning your adversities into advantages. And there have been things within myself, and I'm just being open and honest with you now, where it's like there may be resentment that I've held towards my dad. I've called him a coward before. Instead of sticking around and taking care of his kids, he decided to run back to prison. Right? And I call him a coward for that. But I have to imagine a world where he may not have known what a mortgage is. And yet he goes to prison and he spends 22 and a half years. Yes, he may learn what a mortgage is, but now he's come out into a world where now there's a thing called social media. There's this thing called Facebook, right? There's this whole new world, this technologically driven world. And if the world was foreign to him before, where he didn't know what a mortgage was.
Yeah, he's left behind, bro.
Right.
It's a rough spot to be in. It's very intimidating. Man, I don't know, like in the 4th grade, right? I didn't like to read. So I got left back because I failed the 4th grade for reading. And shout out to Miss Giger and Miss Biddy. That's what got me. Miss
Giger and Miss Biddy.
Yeah, Miss Biddy.
Biddy.
Yeah, Miss Biddy and Miss Giger. That's who got me into writing and when I was a kid. But just that feeling in 4th grade of being left back, it hurts, man. It hurts seeing your friends going on to the bigger playground, going on to now, they got the backpack and, they don't have to ride the bus if they don't want to. They can walk to school now. I'm still having to go to the bus stop and all it is because I got left behind. So it doesn't feel good. And that's the same thing with prison. When you get out of prison, man, I mean, people that they're going on to bigger and better things. Like one of my friends, Trey Baker, I look up on TV when I got out of prison, he worked for the White House. And I'm like, what's going on? Or Desmond Purnell. I'm sitting up looking at the NFL Network and they said, we're going to DeSoto, Texas with Desmond Purnell. I look up, he works with the NFL Net. I'm like, what is going on? So that's what it feels like. It feels like everybody else is just going on about their life. No one is thinking about you and life goes on, bro.
What do you think made the difference, bro? What made you choose the path that you chose to walk that ended you up locked up versus the Desmond or the Trey? Was it just a matter of circumstance, decision? Like, because I know that there's times in my life where had the wrong person walked around the corner when I was doing that thing, my life would have changed also.
Well, I was in a dark spot. I had got put out the house, going through homelessness, not eating on a regular basis. And, you know, sometimes that person come and tell you, hey, man, you come hang with us. You'll never, I'll make sure you make $100 a day. I'll make sure you know, this and that. And you'll never miss another meal. Sometimes, you know, when people catch you in a desperate spot, you do desperate things. And I think that's what it was for me, because don't get it twisted. I did not come from a family that promotes any type of lifestyle in the street. My uncle, his name is Command Sergeant Paul Julius King. He's a Command Sergeant Major. My mother was an RN nurse for over 30 years. My daddy worked at Georgia Pacific. My sister was a bank teller. My aunt, well, both aunties, but my auntie Fanny, she was the head basketball coach at Murphy High in Mobile, Alabama. So I don't come from a bad family. So I don't want this interview to be misconstrued, or if my family ever sees this, it's like, oh, he was thrown away in the street, but we did have our problems. And I did find myself in the street, and I found myself in some situations that I probably wouldn't have been in by myself. And that's how I ended up there. And once you make a decision, you can't turn back on it. I had already started selling drugs, and unfortunately, I had sold drugs to an undercover narcotics agent. So I had to pay the consequences for my actions.
Okay. In a bit of irony, when I just heard you talking, I was literally thinking about my time in the military. So I spent 21 years as a military policeman, and a part of my job, part of my duty was a suicide interventionist and a master resiliency trainer. And in that time, I've never met a person in the military that didn't come from an adverse background. Yeah. That they didn't have some type of trauma or tragedy that happened in their early years that they're running away from. And they made decisions to join the military. You get recruited. And so when I just heard you talking, all I heard was a different style of recruitment. Somebody looking at you and saying, hey, we'll make sure that you fed. We'll make sure that you know, whoop de whoop, and we'll take care of you. That's the same thing. My recruiter, Raymond Lalenko, Sergeant Raymond Lalenko, the same thing he said. Yeah. Because I was as ghetto as all get out as well. But he came and he's just like, I'll make sure you have food. Well, you know, you're going to get paid on the 1st and the 15th. You're going to get to see the world. You're going to get the da-da-da-da. It just sounded like you had the wrong recruiter that approached you first.
Yeah, I did. And I was sort of desperate. Like I said, it's like going 4 or 5 days without a shower. I mean, not eating properly. I mean, and it, you know, my family trying to teach me a lesson. Like they said years later, we didn't really mean for you to go full head first in the street. They was just trying to, you know, teach me a lesson, but I didn't see it that way. Right. I didn't see it that way. But I just knew I had went 4 or 5 days without food, and I went to the house and they said, you can't come here. So it sort of hurt my feelings, and I turned left in life. And if I could do it all over again, I definitely wouldn't choose that route. That route is a hard road. It changes you forever. And I probably, if I didn't go in that route, there's no telling where I could be, because I still had all the skills that I have now. I still loved to write back then, because that's where it comes from. Like I said, 1st and 3rd grade, my 1st grade teacher, Miss Giger, my 3rd grade teacher, Miss Biddy, and they just always said, you're going to be a famous writer one day. They used to say this, but you know, I'm like, man, whatever. But I never lost that, the element of writing, because that's what got me through prison. There's some long days in there. There's some hard days in there. In prison, in the wintertime, they keep the shower water cold. In the summertime, they keep the water hot. It's just this big mind thing. Like if your mind is not conditioned to go through this thing called the prison system, a lot of people commit suicide, bro. A lot of people, I've watched people commit suicide. I've seen people jump off the top tier of the unit. I've seen people hang themselves. They would take different, they would cut the blankets up in long strips and then braid them like plaits. And they hang themselves. It's hard in there, man. Your girlfriend's hard. Your girl, hey, leave you. She with your best friend now. You got to learn. You got to figure out these things while you're sitting in there. Family members die while you're in there. Birthdays pass when you're in there. Life goes on, and out of sight, out of mind. And a lot of inmates, once they come to that realization, they can't take it no more, and they unfortunately commit suicide. Man, it's rough.
Thank you for sharing that, brother. I'm proud of you, man, just so you know, because with everything that you come from, everything that you overcame, first of all, I wouldn't wish that you didn't go through some of the things and learn the lessons, because you wouldn't be in the position where you are now, where, correct me if I'm wrong, you woke up in Beverly Hills this morning.
That's true.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you've been around celebrities all day.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure you've been sitting at tables with me where conversations involving $100 million to expand a business and grow the largest Black-owned franchise in American history have been discussed.
That is all true.
And I'm also pretty sure you were sitting in the restaurant when the White House sent a delegation up to Alaska.
Yeah. Didn't want to be on camera then. I was hiding out. I was hiding out in the warehouse, but yes, I was there. I saw him.
When you learn to shift your paradigm, man, you understand that nothing happens to you, but everything happens for you. When you shift your perspective, you understand that perhaps, whether you call it God, the universe, or creator, whatever energy it is that you feel controls all, perhaps it had you go through and endure all those things that you did so you can be in the position that you're in now. Because there's so many people throughout this country that are sitting in that cell right now that need that perspective that only Jimmy Turner can deliver.
I am Jimmy Turner.
You are Jimmy Turner. So in the way that, in the way that you choose to give back, like you showed me a chessboard.
Oh yeah. Oh man. I got it too, man. It's out in the truck.
That's all right. Go ahead. Explain the chessboard.
Oh man, I got it in the truck, bro. That's why they tell you to be prepared, bro. So I was sitting in solitary confinement. Like I said, I didn't see no way out of this thing, man.
I caught him lacking. Anyway, go ahead, bro.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm sitting in solitary confinement. I have a state case and a federal case. I had been sitting in that hole, and then I hear some pitter patter of the feet like 4 a.m. And then I hear the keys like on an old prison movie, and then they slide this bright pink folder under your door. And it's a warrant from the United States government with the president of the United States commands your body. I'm like, I ain't never did nothing to the president. Why do I have this federal warrant? So it was a terrifying moment, bro. Some people that I had been around, they had swept them up in a conspiracy. It was a big deal, but my name was in it, and I had to. I thought I was getting out on my state case, and unfortunately, I had to stay put right there in a jail cell. And man, it was a terrible time. I contemplated suicide myself. 40 years was a long time. I mean, it looked like the charges never ended. It was like 13 charges on there, ranging from trafficking to, I mean, you name it. I don't want to just repeat any of it. It's bad.
Was that a RICO?
Yeah, RICO charge. Yeah. And furtherance of a criminal enterprise. And I had been the right hand to somebody who was, they felt like I was a very bad person. And I couldn't see my way out of it. So I called home. I told my mom, I said, I'm not doing no 40 years. You can get it out of your mind. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I really started to step up on the top tier. And but something I just could not jump. So that night, I sat in my cell, That was the first time I picked up the Bible while I had been in jail. I didn't want to be that guy when you go to jail, you pick up the Bible, you know, so I hadn't been reading the Bible. That was the first time I felt hopeless, bro. I was like, man, ain't no way I can do no 40. So I started reading the Bible. I read a few verses. And then I was just looking at this envelope. And so I just started unraveling the envelope. And once I unraveled it all the way, I started drawing these lines on it. And then once I draw the lines parallel, I draw them the other way. I made squares all over it. And then I started thinking, I was like, man, maybe I can make a little chessboard out of this thing. And so I started coloring in one color, leave one white, color it in. And wouldn't you know it, it transformed into a chessboard. So in the hole, when you're in solitary confinement, you can't have the regular chessboard. But I made my own chess pieces and my own chessboard. And, you know, I told the next cellie, a person next to me about it. I said, hey, all you got to do is do this, because we're in 2 separate cells. So, but we played chess together in 2 separate cells. I would use the black part. He would have the white part. He made his just like I had told him to make it. And yeah, that's how I started passing my time and not going crazy in there. And slowly but surely, using the chest, and then, you know, starting back to do push-ups. And because I was just depressed in there, I didn't want to do no push-ups. I didn't want to do no sit-ups. I didn't want to do no more sleep all day. So the chessboard is very significant. I brought it out. I have it with me now. Man, unfortunately, I don't have it on camera with me.
It's all good,
It's
bro.
terrible. But it did get me through a rough patch, man. And I would like to produce those chessboards and somehow get them out to the prisoners that's in solitary confinement, because they can't have the regular chessboard.
Why do you feel the need to give back?
Man, well, I was always told you help somebody else, and in turn, when you help people, it helps you in a way. And like helping other people's, like, I was so selfish for so long, bro. Like, man, you couldn't get nothing from me. I don't care what you're going through, because I had been through what I had been through in life, and it had jaded me to the point where, man, I see a woman on the side of the road with a flat tire. Her man should have been there to do it. If I saw a homeless guy, didn't have nothing to eat, he brought it on himself. So I was like that for a long time, man. And it was until people like you and different, it's been like 4 different people who helped me in my life. You one of them. And I was like, man, just reflecting for myself. I said, man, I was dead wrong for that. It's times that I could have helped people and I didn't. And once you start living a different path and renewing your mind, they call it, man, you can't renew your mind and not see somebody, and you see somebody in need or help and not help them, bro. So that's what got me to start taking the time. I call it, I do one good deed a day.
There you go.
So I started from not doing anything to at least one good deed. So, yeah.
And it's beautiful, man. And you wouldn't have the perspective to do those good deeds unless you had that experience or those experiences of not helping and of not going through the things that you went through. So don't knock the bad things of your life, because there is no such thing as good or bad. Everything just is, and your thinking assigns the meaning to it. So as you know, I'm preaching to the choir right now that it's just a matter of your perspective.
Right.
And as I was saying, I'm proud of you, and I'm proud to partner with you as we continue our talks with the Department of Corrections at federal and state levels, looking at turning this Waffles and Whatnot franchise, this thing that you just walked up and you just like, you need help. I remember that, man.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you need help.
I need a job.
Have you start moving bags of flour, and it was rough in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
You know, but sticking to it because you are and do have value, and you have value to add. And now to see that you're committed to taking your life's experiences and giving back to others, even being here, sitting in front of this camera, people don't understand how just uncomfortable you are sitting in front of here, and that I threw you in front of this camera.
Right now. Not yet. Right now.
Right on the spot. Because you know what? I work with you and you wrote your book of life. You started writing in your book of life. You started writing what your dreams are. And you know what? You can't decide when you plant that seed. You don't decide when it comes out of the ground. That's a force that you can't see. Right?
Right.
So when the opportunity knocks, like you said,
gotta be ready. Call me lacking. I'm talking about this.
Now, here's the beauty of it. You think you're lacking. And this is what I want you to understand. And I want all of you to understand out there that you think you're not prepared to take on this life, and you're limiting your greatness and your ability to pour into others and change their lives. Jimmy thought he's lacking because he doesn't have that chessboard here with him. And maybe he has some twinge of doubt or some type of guilt or something that he's internalizing. But the fact of the matter is, it is irrelevant. He didn't need it. If you're still watching this podcast, if you're still watching this episode after everything that he said, if something that he said has inspired you to change something in your life, that means he didn't physically need that thing there with him. No different than he's been holding on to that notebook because he thought that he needed that in order to get on this camera. Yes, I'm calling him out for holding that notebook this whole time. But notice that he didn't open it once. Why? The sauce of life is about you. It is your life's experiences and how you take your life's experiences and turn those into ingredients that you use to feed others. It is truly about you. Your greatest self exists in your mind, which is why the greatest battle that you're ever going to fight in your life happens between your ears. It's all in your head. Anyway, I'm not going to go off that. I'm switching back to you, bro. I apologize for that because this is supposed to be all about you.
No.
You got me going off on my little thing.
Go ahead.
And I appreciate your time. And if I had another Jimmy back there, I would have forced you to eat a waffle. I would have, even though you eat waffles all the time. I appreciate you, bro. And thank you for being on, man. If this were the last time that you and I talk, and this is the only time that somebody's going to see your face or hear your voice, what would be something that you would want them to walk away with?
About me? Man, I do have a caring heart, man. As a youngster, that's all I wanted to do was help people. I remember when I was a little kid, growing up, and I saw this man. He got off work. He used to work at Memphis Hardwood, and I used to take a pathway through something they called a hole. So I lived on Fairwood Drive, and I used to cut through a pathway. And as I was cutting through this pathway to go to my grandmother's house on Pearl Street, man, I saw this man take out some Alpo dog food and ate Alpo dog food and crackers for dinner, bro. And just the heart I had, I went home and cleared our refrigerator out and gave him everything I had, bro. So that's the kid, that's the person I am. I'm still that person, even though life circumstances had, changed my mindset, and I had became jaded and, disgruntled with life. If you never saw me again, just know I'm turning back into my mother's child, the child that she raised from the beginning. That, gonna try to do my best to leave my mark on this world and a great impact.
I appreciate you, brother.